what's up. So, I think I'm starting to grasp. I think the most important thing that I've learned in my 30s is getting an understanding of how important your thoughts are. And I'm really starting to understand this concept where the thoughts that you have in your head are incredibly important to your life. And going even farther, there's some connection between what is happening in your head and what the energy that you're putting out and attracting in the real world. And an example I can think of is like there was a couple years ago I was on this flight and there was this lady talking to this other lady. They're both strangers, all three of us sitting in a row. They're having a conversation. And one lady was just super negative. Like she wasn't rude or anything, but one lady would be telling the other lady like, "Oh yeah, I'm going on this vacation to so and so," and the first thing that other lady would say would be like, "Oh, you should be careful about vacations. My sister went on vacation, she broke her leg, and she got stranded there." Right? And then like everything that one person would talk about, the other person would just automatically default to the most worst case scenario. And I was just thinking, I remembering that, and I was like, dude, this lady is like so negative, and I could probably imagine that she probably doesn't have a very happy or fulfilling life because of just the thoughts that you have. And it's crazy because you don't really have an idea of what you're thinking. Like you don't really notice what you're thinking, right? So like if you don't actually purposely control what you're thinking, all your thoughts that you had today, probably 99.9% of them are going to happen tomorrow. And it's going to keep happening until it becomes a habit. So that lady being super negative, she probably doesn't really know that she's being negative, right? So if you get in the habit of thinking these thoughts, and these thoughts are really negative, then it becomes a part of you. And I just think that has an actual huge effect on your life. Maybe probably the largest effect that it could have. So I'm just really starting to grasp this concept of like how to just really, really control or be cognizant of what you're thinking. And I think that as I starting to do this, like I can see my life starting to change. So I think this is the most important thing I've learned in my 30s. I'm learning it pretty late, but luckily better late than never. Um, if you haven't really thought about this before, I would urge you to look into it and maybe just self-reflect and think about a little bit about what you're thinking. One of the easiest things I've done, one of the easiest exercises I've done that doing this program was like, hey, one of the things that you can do is when you have a negative thought is you just realize it and just stop thinking about it, right? And just being aware of it. And they give you like 4 or 5 different other ways to combat negative thoughts. I don't really remember them because I didn't use any of them. I just used the one where, hey, if someone says, if you think about something negative, just at least notice it and then just think about something else. And I did that for a couple of weeks, and then it actually really worked for me. So, yeah, I'm gonna do this program for this is my week 9. It's like 15 minutes a day. Towards the end is like a little bit longer. I'm not gonna lie, like after Beatrice went on vacation, I kind of fell off, so I missed a couple days. But I've been doing pretty consistently for about 2 months now. So I'm gonna get back into it. But yeah, I just there's just like a lot to think about in terms of like how thoughts work. But this entire concept to me is just like really interesting because like you kind of live in this world where you're limited by your thoughts, right? Like in your head, there's certain things that are you think are possible and not possible, right? But those are only possible or not possible because of what you believe. So like what you believe is just like super important. And I can get into it longer, but I think you kind of get the gist of it. So yeah, I guess learning this in your 30s is nice. I kind of wish I would learn this younger. I think one of the most important, I'm trying to think, the most important thing to learn in your 20s, I would say, or at least that I learned in my 20s, I would say, is probably learning how to develop empathy. And that might be kind of obvious. I think you probably developed that as a kid, but I actually never really developed empathy um, when I was younger. Like I had a really hard time putting myself in other people's shoes. But if you think about it, like being able to do that, it probably is the most important thing in your 20s. Because when you're in your 20s, you're just like, what do you want? You want to make friends? You want to have a really good social life? You want to like make money, like have a really good job, and then you want to like make go on a lot of dates, right? Or get a girlfriend or get a wife or or mess around a lot, right? So I think having empathy can cover all that really well because for friendship, it's like if you're really able to understand other people and you can really cater how you make them feel because you understand where they're coming from, I think it's very easy to make friends. For your job, like if you can understand your employer, understand your boss, what they want from you, and you can kind of position yourself in a way of what they want. And I think it's very easy to negotiate a raise that way and like move up the corporate ladder. And then for 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 dating, like I think dating, like if you're able to see how you come off and understand how you come off to the opposite sex, I mean that's pretty much game, right? Like if you like that's what game is. Like if you are aware of how you come off and you can control that correctly, then you have game. So yeah, I think empathy is probably the most important skill set to learn when you're younger. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. I didn't develop game until I was like 24 or 23. I don't know what happened. Like I just never really understood empathy for some reason. But then I mean something that you can develop. Like my brother has like really high empathy, and he's always had it. And then I think it's probably birth order related. So like he's probably had to deal with more responsibility than I did as a younger child. I never really developed it until I purposely developed it when I was like a young adult. So uh, I'm not sure what the point of me talking about this is, but I guess hope that's useful. Yeah, I've been just making these videos. I've been kind of just going in a row. I don't really have a script or anything. But yeah, I hope that helps some in some way. All right, see you guys later.